All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out the Rich CELENZA show. So, what I'm going to talk about in this podcast is, are you coming across fake? Now, I think no matter who we are to a certain degree, throughout our life, I think at times we've come across fake to others, maybe not even knowing it. And I get a lot of times we do act a certain way regarding certain situations. So, for instance, if you're going in for a job interview, let's face it, you're probably going to talk a way you don't usually talk. You may be going on a first date, you don't usually act the way you act, right? Or if you're maybe at a business conference or you're meeting new people, you're going to address them differently, of course, than you'd address maybe somebody in a bar or a nightclub, right? I'm just saying we all have that. And that's not what I'm talking about. Maybe a little bit when I get into relationships. But I help a lot of guys with their identity. And it seems like a lot of times they feel, especially, I should say, if they're not having success meeting women, that they have to change their entire identity. And some may have to change some because if they're assholes and no women want to be around them, or who knows what it is, they may smell, they may be very verbal abusive, they may not have hygiene qualities that women are looking for, or people in general, all these different types of things. Yeah, there probably are some changes that should be made. But the last thing I ever want people to do is not truly be comfortable with who they are. And I think a lot of people are great people out there. I really do. But they get a little confused where there's a fine line between kind of, how do I say this? There's a fine line between being very respectful and also, I think, maybe coming off a little too fake and corny. And a lot of women, I should say, and people in general, I should say. I shouldn't just say women, but like if you're going out on a date, they know immediately when you're faking it. They know when you're, just by the way you're talking and the way you're moving and all these things. Now, again, I'm not telling you to be 100% yourself and sit there and start farting, or if you belch, or talking shit. Of course, you're on a first date. You want to, I'm not saying you got to impress one another, but you got to make sure you at least start, if you're interested in this person, maybe possibly getting a second date or a third date and moving on from there. The last thing you want to do is turn them off, right? But again, the fake component, and I think this is in business as well. And it could be, you could, again, do whatever you want to do. And I was making films for a while. And a lot of times, I would run across a lot of people in all different aspects of the industry. And I know there's a really big difference between somebody being genuine and cool and nice. And then there's the other people that I'd run across that I just immediately knew they were fake. I knew a lot of the things they were saying were full of shit. They were also maybe even over complimenting. And I don't want to say that that's a bad thing. If that's who they are, that's who they are. But I do think sometimes people go overboard is what I should say. And it's when they know they're going overboard, if that makes sense. And if they don't know they're going overboard, that's kind of funny in itself. But I just want people to understand that, when doing anything in life, I think the more genuine you are. And I've even gone through this with my podcast. And a lot of my friends will be like, Rich, you never swear on your podcast, or you used to swear. You only swear once in a while. Truthfully, I was, at the beginning, I think, swearing too much, and it was kind of fake. Or I shouldn't say it was fake, it was me, but I just didn't like it. So if I kept doing it, to me, I was kind of faking that I just didn't, that was kind of fake to me. And then when I started to swear less, I felt a lot better. It came out of me more fluent. And don't get me wrong, I still like swearing on my podcast. But my point being is, I don't care to a certain degree, I care. I want people to listen. But I don't not swear because I think it's more polished or more people listen. Because I know most of my audience, if I'm 82% male from 18 to, 35, I can assure you probably almost 100% of them swear. It's not even 99.9. I'd say almost everyone I know I've ever met in my life swears in one way or another, unless they're very religious, so I should take that back. But most likely, if you're real religious, you probably wouldn't be following me necessarily. Maybe you would. But my point being is, I felt sometimes like I was coming off fake with that, and I had addressed that. You may feel the same way. I think sometimes, too, in a work environment, we set this certain standard that we're this person. And if you're succeeding, do whatever the hell you want to do. But if you don't see yourself necessarily doing that well, and you're kind of faking it, maybe it's time to take a different approach. Maybe start being who you truly are. Because I think a lot of times we look at faking it, or we're doing all these things or acting this way, that it's going to always benefit us, and it's going to carry us, and it's going to make us more connections and make us a better networker and do all these type of things. And then you find yourself where it really is not working at all. And you're like, well, this isn't, this is how I thought would work if I did this. Well, if that's not working, try being yourself again. You don't have to, a lot of times, be anything but yourself. That, again, doesn't mean if you're in the workplace and you F-bomb out of the workplace, or you should start bringing that to the workplace. If you do things inappropriate, I'm not telling you to do that at the workplace. You could go do whatever the hell you want to do. There is a fine line, again, like I was saying earlier, but you have to understand, faking it a lot of times is just, I think it takes a toll on people in the long run. You start to lose your identity. I think people also don't understand when you're faking it a lot. People know it, especially if you talk a lot of shit, all the things you're going to do, which I'm all about goals, but I'm saying you're talking about all the things you've done, which you haven't done, or all these things you're going to be doing when everybody can kind of see you're not doing anything to go to those places. It's just a lot of shit talking as well. And kind of the fake it till you make it type component, which I despise, where you're pretending to be something you're not. And I get, you want to maybe get in those environments to succeed and be around those people. But when around those people, if you're kind of faking who you are, or you're pretending to be one of them when you're not at that point in time, I can't stand that shit. I would definitely recommend, if you getting around people you want to succeed with, or do the things they want to do, take an honest approach and say, man, I'd love to learn from you. Not kind of coming in like a lot of people do and trying to pretend you're one of them when you're really not, especially when it comes to keeping up with the Joneses financially. So I just really wanted to do a podcast on this and take people through kind of these ideas, or these things that I see all the time. And, I think one of the things you hear all the time is there's nothing worse than a fake, right? And you may be a fake, or you may be around people that are fake, and all those different types of things. And it's brutal. I'm telling you one way or another. But a lot of times, most of the time, faking anything, in my opinion, never works out, including an orgasm. I just thought I'd throw that in there. Well, anyways, take care. If you got any questions or comments, I'm at richcelenza.com. I also have a website, masteringselfconfidence.com, where I try to help men with their identity, relationships, wardrobe, hygiene, fitness. And listen, if you truly want to succeed in something, I'm just going to say, creating a skill and mastering a talent is going to go a lot further than kind of faking it, or pretending that you're good at things when you're not, or telling people you're good at things, because you will eventually get exposed.